back on Open Line, everybody. Rhori Johnston sitting in the chair on a Wednesday night. We're glad you are tuning in. And our topic tonight is very important, funding for legal services for immigrants. And there's a couple of key groups who are helping with that here in Nashville, and one of them is the Tennessee Justice for Our Neighbors group. Again, ladies, thanks for being with us. I want to go back to the, you're talking about some of the Afghan immigrants, folks who fled with nothing, like you said, just leaving on the spot to get out of Kabul and other areas late last summer, early in the fall. So they get this status and come here, and you talked about how Nashville kind of opened its arms, and I remember doing news stories that, viewers were, what do they need? Where can we go? Go to the airport, they diapers, whatever. People always, it's just great to see. Do you think it's because just the emotional, seeing the visuals, seeing just, this crazy departure and withdrawal, seeing the family, seeing the faces, the suffering or whatever, and just how desperate they were, and then hearing people talk, and soldiers talking about, this is my brother. This guy has been with me. He's been my translator, my guide, or whoever, these people who are really friends and allies. And it's great that we do that. Why can't we transfer that to other immigrants who it may not be a big scene on the news, but like you said, so often they are coming from situations, some of these countries throughout Latin America, we've seen story after story. Why would you walk, so many miles to get away and have a shot here in the United States? So how do we get the population just that feeling of empathy and compassion instead of the political stuff? I know that's a hot button one.
No, it's a really interesting question, but I think just human nature is we see people in crisis and we want to respond, like an immediate crisis, and we want to respond. Right. And what's been going on in Central America and Mexico is a more slow-moving crisis. And so it doesn't have, I think, the same emotional impact. And I think there's also been a lot of language in our political system, characterizing who people from certain places are and why they're trying to come here in a way that's maybe not quite accurate, but
generalized.
Yes, it's very generalized, and we see a lot of people in our office who are here from Central America and Mexico because of things like climate change. Like they can't, they were, farmers, sort of, supporting themselves on their farms, and they can't do that anymore because of climate change.
And especially in countries where the infrastructure is not developed to a point that can deal with changes in climate or extremes, right?
Right. There were 2 huge hurricanes in Honduras in the past couple of years that just, wiped out all kinds of agricultural and other jobs. So they're, also, like if you could just blindfold yourself and hear the stories about why people are coming, they're the same from all over the world. They, they have the same need, they have the same objective to have a safe place for their family to live and prosper. But you're exactly right. We treat different populations differently.
But, you continue the work, continue to educate, continue to push the positive narrative, as you will, the empathetic and compassionate one. All right, we got a phone call. We have a phone call. Hey, hang in there. Here we go. It is John on line 1. Hi, John.
Yes, hello.
Hi,
I had a question about how long the funding would last for your organization, and if there's any after effects of what you could do with immigrants after you help them.
Okay. Good question. Let's listen in. Look, before we get into that too, and maybe he's talking about this additional funding, which I need to get back to what we started with. The amount that Metro Council, so there was a survey of more than 2,000 Nashville residents to say, okay, we have 8 yet to be funded priorities for these federal relief money that's coming in. How can we divvy it up? What do you think? And in the survey, one of them was increased access to legal services, right? I mean, it was key.
Yeah.
So here we go. Metro Council says, okay, 1.82 million is going to go to expand immigration legal services, which that's huge. You and Turk, give me how you're working on dividing that up and the plans that you have with these funds and how you see it, the impact.
We'll be a subcontract for Turk, and approximately a third of the award will come to us.
Okay.
And our award will go towards funding positions to provide legal services. So it will help fund positions for 2 attorneys and 2 paralegals over the next around 18 months. Initially, our proposal was for a 3-year proposal, and as you know, they were only able to fund a portion of it, and hopefully
more money from the second hopefully comes in.
Right, so hopefully we could go back and fill in the rest.
Right. I mean, tell me about, in your eyes, obviously you're thinking, yes, we need help. We need more hands on deck.
Yeah.
There are so many things that people don't think about. I was at a fundraiser for a nonprofit a few months ago, and they were doing some bidding and auction bidding, and they were saying this amount of money would just buy us a dang new computer.
Yeah.
And pointed to the office worker who was like, please help me. Things like just basic supplies, things that your budget goes quickly, especially now prices aren't real low anymore. So this is going to help. Beyond that, where do you see this leading?
So I think that what the money is going to help us do is sort of build an infrastructure that, hopefully we'll be able to build on it with funding from other funders, but sort of now that people have seen that there's a need for more immigration legal service providers in the community. And I don't know if this is what, John, you were asking about, but once people get a lawful immigration status, that equals stability in their lives. They can get a driver's license in Tennessee. They can work lawfully. They can reap the benefits of the taxes they've been paying. They have access to more educational benefits, more health care benefits. So it just allows people to achieve stability.
And you said you're working on the contract. How does it work? Do you know yet when they're just going to send you one big check, or it's going to be distributed over time?
We'll have to send an invoice to Metro every 4 months or so, and account for how the money was spent.
Before how long did you have to even plan for this? Did you know into COVID when Congress passed, we've got some money that's going to help, and a lot of it obviously was prioritized to other health-related pandemic needs, and then now we've got this extra money. How can we help in the community?
Well, we've been partnering with Turk to plan for this for some time now, to be completely frank. But we've also seen other cities across the country doing this and allocating the ARPA funds in this way. And so that helped kind of get our southern area on the map with it. And then we also saw that recently Shelby County did some awarded funds to provide legal services to some of the Afghans who were settled there. I think it was to provide services for 25 individuals.
Okay. And you mentioned at the beginning your group is just a chapter of the larger group. Where's the larger group based? And
the Maryland area.
Maryland area outside D.C. Mm-hmm. How many other cities or areas?
They're in 15 states, and so Texas
has several offices.
Several in New England.
Yeah.
Okay, and you share best practices, I would assume, too. Hear what's going on and talk, just to have that support system too. Or maybe you
critical.
Call out and say, I need some help.
Or vice versa. There are people throughout the network who have different types of experience. So it's a way that we can, take what we can do in our small office and expand the capacity.
All right, I have a question for Bethany here. You've been doing this for a while. Has there ever been kind of an issue, a legal issue involving an immigrant that's been placed in front of you that you've never seen before?
Every day.
Every day, really? Instead of just like, I know what I'm doing here, but all of a sudden another one, because you're kind of trying to fit this into the maze that is our federal legal system.
And you know, it's sort of a mantra in this practice. Every case is different. They're so fact dependent that maybe not every day I see something that we haven't seen before,
enough,
but
right?
you know, it's very common. And I mentioned early on that I have practiced in other areas of law, and one thing that's been amazing about immigration work is that it's really a community of collaborators. Like, people are willing to, you know, share ideas, offer advice, share, you know, what we call work product. So it's a great area to practice in.
And obviously, you have some great examples, I'm sure, of people and families you've been able to help who were probably floored by, you know, what you've had to offer. Look at you both like, oh, I've got stories. The smiles on your faces. I mean, you wouldn't have stayed with the group had it not really been so impactful to you, right?
It is. I would say every day too. We realize that, you know, the work that all of us do in our office, and obviously it's not just Tessa and me. We have a really amazing team. You know, makes a difference in people's lives.
How do you not, you know, and I use quotes here, adopt like you said, Nashvillians are bringing in Afghan families or whatever, and you know, it's, you know, you just end up kind of falling in love with people whose stories are so desperate, and then to see them start to turn things around. Yeah, there's an emotional connection, obviously, right? I
actually met today briefly with a client who was one of my very first clients when I started doing this work as a volunteer, actually. And she's gotten the U visa, the kind of visa for crime victims that I was talking about, and she's applying for her green card today. And she told me that she's bought her own house. Like, she's, you know, had a job for the past 3 or 4 years. She's bought her own house. She's been able to bring some younger children that she left behind in El Salvador here to the United States, so the families reunited here. So yeah, the short answer is we get to know our clients over a long period of time.
Something like that will fill the tank, as they say.
It will.
I mean, I've only been with the organization for a short time, but in that time, I've also seen clients come back and give back. I've seen clients make donations. I've seen clients offer services in other ways. We, you know, serving on a board.
That's awesome. All right, we got another phone call coming in. Let's go to Curtis. Hey, Curtis, welcome to OpenLine.
I actually had a couple of questions.
Sure.
The first is, why is Davidson County paying for these services if they get the federal public defenders? And then the other question is, so once you get DACA, does that mean you're a citizen? Thanks very much.
Thank you. Good questions. Good questions. All right.
All right, so I'll take your second one first. DACA does not mean that you're a citizen. It's a temporary status. It was created by an administrative order, not by a law of Congress. So all DACA does is give you the right to stay in the United States for a 2-year period, and you can work during that period. But it doesn't lead to anything else. It doesn't lead to getting a permanent residence or a green card or becoming a citizen. It's just that temporary benefit. And then to your question about the federal public defender, so it's interesting. Immigration violations are not crimes; they're civil violations, and so you only have a right to a public defender if you're charged with a crime. So the sort of, you know, mantra in immigration court is that you're basically you know, you're being prosecuted for a life-changing violation, but without access to a lawyer. So there's no right to a paid lawyer in immigration court.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. And what about the Legal Aid Society? We hear, and other nonprofits. How, you know, who takes care of whom? And give us kind of the differentiation.
So Legal Aid of Middle Tennessee and Cumberlands does great work in a lot of different areas, but because of their funding sources, they're not allowed to provide immigration legal services except in a very restricted area. So they can help people who've been victims of domestic violence. They can help children who've suffered, you know, abuse by their parents, but they have very, very limited criteria for being able to serve people that are undocumented.
Okay. Funding sources. Is that,
Yeah.
you mean just the way the law's written, government funding sources, or could be even larger, just that's the way they want to keep it?
No, it's actually, they're funded by the Legal Services Corporation, and they have restrictions in place that don't allow
Makes
legal
sense.
aid to take those
Yeah,
cases.
makes sense.
Legal aid in Nashville has a couple of immigration lawyers, really fantastic immigration lawyers on staff, but they can only take certain kinds of cases.
Right.
Yeah.
And here's the need for
Yeah,
you then,
yeah,
right? Stepping
yeah,
in.
yeah.
All right. We'll talk more about this great nonprofit in Turk and what they're doing as they start to receive this much needed funding. We'll be right back.